Hi, my name is Stephen Turner, and it is my pleasure to welcome you today to the second Zoom membership meeting of Gesher Galicia. For those who don't know me, I live in Roslyn, Long Island, and have been a board member since 2017 and president since July of 2019. It is my intention as president to increase our membership engagement, and this Zoom meeting is part of that. We consider it vital to be able to interact with you through social media. We have an active Facebook page, Twitter feed, YouTube channel, and a LinkedIn page. We urge all of you to engage with them. We are thinking of new ways to engage. Would people here be interested in listening to Gesher Galicia podcasts or perhaps taking part in the Twitter space? If so, please let us know by writing in the chat that you would like to engage in this way or to send an email to us at info@geshergalicia.org. There is one tip that I would like to give you for those who use Gmail and have their Gmail page divided up to primary, social, and promotion tabs. If sometimes the Google algorithm sends our emails to the promotion tab. If you see that happen, you can just move it to the primary tab by dragging it. And then our emails from then on will always go to your primary tab. We hate for you to overlook our emails because of some quirk. Our research department, under the guidance of our former chair, Tony Kahani, is first rate and constantly working to provide more and more records and to improve the experience of searching our databases. You will hear an update shortly on recent and future postings and projects. Our map room is awesome. In my biased opinion, it is the best there is on Galicia. For this, we have to thank our map guru, Jay Osborne. A new feature we have is our new interactive maps. This is an awesome tool for our members. Here is how it works. Currently, we just have the maps for these 4 towns. My father was born in the town of Notvorna. So if you do a search for the Turner name in Notvorna, you get these records of all the houses where there is a vital record of a Turner associated with. Now, all these dots are houses that are where there is a Jewish record, a vital record associated with it. This gives you a good idea of what was a Jewish neighborhood. Now, these blue numbers, blue lettering of the house numbers here is a hyperlink. If you click on it, you get a list of all the vital records associated with that house that you could scroll through. And it centers on where that house was. This is a great tool to see who lived in the house before, after, or during the time that your family was living there. We hope all of you get a chance to try this tool out and enjoy and get a fruitful use out of it. We are so proud of our award-winning journal, the Galiciana, under the stewardship of our Vice President, Andrew Zalewski, and our editor, Jody Benjamin. Andrew will speak more about this later. A special project that we are working on that I have spoken to membership before about is the study of records in the possession of Rabbi Moshe Kolesnik of Ivano-Frankivsk, now Stanislav. For several years now, Rabbi Kolesnik has been gathering records in this area, which was one of the most densely populated regions with Jews of Galicia. Much of his collection is unique and not found anywhere else. Alex Denisenko is almost finished now making an inventory of the collection. And when that is done, our research department will make an evaluation of what we need to scan and make available to the community. We are all very excited about this. It is my mission as president to increase our outreach and educational efforts to preserve Galician Jewish culture and heritage. In 2020, we introduced for the first time the Gesher Galicia webinar series, and these presentations have proven to be extremely popular. These webinars are recorded and uploaded to our members portal for viewers to watch at their convenience. We are proud of the renowned contributors to this series, such as Omer Bartov, Jennifer Mendelson, Chuck Fishman, Rabbi Koleshnik, and others. If you haven't taken advantage of these offerings yet, I urge all of you to give it a try. Just last week, I conducted an interview with Faris Castle, the author of The Unanswered Letter, which is a fascinating book about a Jewish family in occupied Vienna after the Anschluss, desperately seeking to emigrate. We all know, sadly, how familiar this story is to many Galicians. This webinar will be uploaded in the next week or so. You do not want to miss it. We hope that you have found our new membership platform easy to navigate when you needed to renew your membership. We have streamlined the process to make it more user-friendly and more dependable. Our membership chair, Shelley Polero, will speak more about this later. We are constantly working on improving our IT capabilities to do such tasks as delivering images of research record scans and those interactive maps I mentioned previously. I want to give everyone a heads up that during the night on Tuesday, our website will be down for an hour or two for maintenance procedures. Please do not be concerned if you try to log in and can't. Unfortunately, cybersecurity has become an issue we need to concentrate and spend resources on. As you know, being a Jewish organization makes us a prime target for malicious actors. Please know that we are working with experts in the field to keep your membership information and our website secure. We are undergoing a major IT infrastructure and website redesign project to better be able to communicate our offerings and for smoother operations. Of course, all of this takes money, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time here making an appeal. We were sorry to have to raise dues this year, but I think most of you will agree that at $50, we are still a major bargain. For those of you who appreciate what we do and can afford to, it would be nice if you could go to our donation page and make a contribution. Thank you. This meeting will start with announcements and introductions of board members who are here. And then we will have a moderated question and answer session. Please type your questions into the chat room, and John Diener, our moderator, will then forward it to the appropriate board member for an answer. I urge everybody to limit your questions to those that will be of general interest to our membership body. Questions pertaining to individual family research can always be sent to info@geshergalicia.org. I will not spend time reading the bios of all of our directors. You can read that on our website. I'm sure if you read them, you will agree that there are some impressive people on our board. Let's get started. I would not like now to hand this over to Andrew Zalewski from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and he will talk about research and education.
Thank you, Steve, and it's great to be with you all, and thank you for spending part of your weekend with us. We are delighted to have so many of you joining from all corners of the world. Let me start sharing my screen. Let me bring my slides up. Let's see if I can move this bar here, slideshow. I hope that you can see my slide deck now. Very good. So I thought it would be very fitting to short updates on research and on educational matters, if we use as a background to this executive updates, this beautiful map of Galicia and Bukovina with Hebrew legend and Hebrew descriptions. So in my first, sorry, my slide seems to be stuck. Steve, can you see my slides on the screen?
The first slide. I see.
Okay, let me stop sharing and let me get back my slide. Just bear with me for a second. That sometimes happened with, let me just reopen the slide deck. Okay. Very good. Well, let's start with the research updates. I'd like to cover very briefly updates on 3 projects. First, about Jewish students from Galicia who ventured to Vienna to study in 2 business trade schools. Second, we'll cover update on Jewish signatories of the petitions filed from Galicia to Austrian Parliament in 1848. And third, I'll finish with a few comments on our exploratory work in the Austrian state archives. I'm not sure why my slides do not advance. Let me just see if I could go from here, maybe. Yes. So Jewish students in Vienna, this is the project that is conducted in collaboration with Vienna University of Economics. We intend to provide you with records and indexed information on 2 business schools that are listed on this slide. And this project is fully funded by the grant from the Republic of Austria for the benefit of members of Gesher Galicia. I'm very pleased to inform you that as of last December, we were able to complete the first part of this project, the first set of records from the famed Export Academy for years 1898 to 1919 have been uploaded to the All Galicia database. You can search by names in All Galicia database for the students who studied in Export Academy. This is an example of a record for Wolf David, who became the first Jewish graduate from Galicia of this school. Wolf David came from Western Galician town of Rožňatov. You could find a wealth of genealogical information about the student, his parents, and also information about the course of the studies. In fact, if you in the future will travel to Vienna, if you find the ancestor, one of your ancestors in these records, you also have address of the students in Vienna, and you can venture in Vienna to see where your ancestor lived during studies at the university. These records are linked to the scans. The link is directly embedded into search results. If we click here, we get to the record from which this information has been extracted. So again, wealth of information. Next record, just an example, is for Anna Bajdov from the same collection of students from Export Academy. Anna came from Eastern Galician town of Kolomea. Again, like before, we see a number of information extracted in search results. And importantly, let me mention that Anna Bajdov became the very first woman who graduated from Export Academy. And again, if you click on a link below her name in a search results. Here we can get to the original record. So this is very interesting repository, and I would encourage you to investigate if you find your ancestors. And again, like with all records, please let us know about your findings. Now, the second part of this project concerns indexing efforts of the second school that operated during the interwar period of time until the Anschluss in 1938. This indexing efforts are in progress. As of last week, we have collected approximately 2,000 scans for students who came to study at the University of World Trade from Galicia, and I hope to provide you a full update sometime in the summer months when this project will come to its completion. The second project, walking in a reverse chronological order, are the 1848 Jewish petitions to Austrian Parliament. In the summer of that year, more than 200,000 people signed a petition to the parliament for or against the idea of dividing Galicia into two parts. Within those, this massive amount of signatures, we find approximately 10% of Jewish signatories, so about close to 10,000 signatures. So far, we've indexed 15 towns, or indexed information from 15 towns. Again, like with students, this information is searchable in all Galicia database by the surname. Here you can see an example of one of Jewish signatories. This one came from Eastern Galician town of Bohorodchany. This is an example of the handwritten signatures. And this is probably one of the more legible pages. Just for your information, here is the list of the towns that we indexed so far. Our criteria is, of course, legibility of the records, but also we try to select the towns for which you have very little Jewish records from this period. I would be remiss if I would not give a big thank you to many dedicated volunteers who labored hard on deciphering those very difficult to read records. Klaus Winzer from Austria, Ami from Israel, Josh from US, Jacob from US, and last but certainly not least, Tony Kahan, our head of the research, who unfortunately could not join us today. So very interesting set of records that not only anchors your ancestor to individual towns, but also indicates their involvement in the political movements of that particular year. Let me finish the update on research with few comments about the Austrian State Archives that houses massive collection of records from entire Habsburg Empire, including some Galician records as well. This is an example of the record that has been already acquired a few years back. This is an example of what one can find in the Austrian State Archives. These are the official permissions given to Jews in Galicia at the time when civil authorities had to provide formal permission before the couple could get married. So this is an example of a record from 1807. This is the original record here on the top. This is the extracted information searchable in all Galicia database. You see the name of the groom, the name of the bride, name of the town not far away from the salt mines in Galicia. And frequently one can notice those comments provided by civil authorities about presence or more often absence of various school certificates that were needed before the authorities could issue such permission. So we continue exploration of the Austrian State Archives, and I hope to provide you additional update on a unique Jewish records from this repository throughout the year. Well, let me leave research, this short research update behind and move on quickly to a few comments about our educational activities. I'd like to focus on two topics: on our partnership between Gesher Galicia and Graz College. Graz College is the oldest pluralistic college, Jewish college in the United States. And a second topic that I would like to briefly mention, give you a little bit of update on our quarterly journal, the Galicianer. Well, through the partnership with Graz College, we started offering last year a course on Galicia, course under the title, The Path to Modernity, the Jews of Galicia. This is, I think, unique opportunity for us to engage in a deeper discussion on cultural transformation of Galician Jews. If you glance at the main topics discussed during those 4 sessions during the course, we travel quite widely, both through the time, but also through territories moving in and moving out of Galicia. We have given 3 classes so far. In fact, I finished last group course last week. We will be hopefully providing you with more opportunities to explore this course. For those of you who wish to pre-register, please write the email to Lori Cohen at Graz. This is her email address. More information about the course is also posted on our website. We know that you have multiple choices to sign up for various educational programs, and thus we were very gratified that when we made the first announcement in December of last year, the course filled in less than 24 hours. So thank you very much for your support of Gesher Galicia educational programs. Please don't forget that for this course, as well as for other educational offerings from Graz College, as members of Gesher Galicia, you can take advantage of a 25% discount on all tuition fees. So I would encourage you to explore this course, again, as a place for a deeper discussions on cultural transformation of Galician Jews, illustrated by unique records, records that we try to highlight during this course. My final comments are about our journal, the Galicianer. This is just a collage of front pages from the last issue in March. Research Corner was authored by Mark Jacobson about the fascinating, interesting new project. Mark will be making those comments in a moment. Then we had a commissioned article about unusual Jewish patronage of the arts, 2 other articles about how to make the records alive again. These were the articles on different type of students. These were Jewish students who filed applications to Lviv University in the fall of 1939 under the Soviet occupation. Then we had 2 articles, very informative articles by our members about their family history research. That is always important aspect of the journal. And typically each issue is finished with a column by our fearless leader and my colleague, Dr. Stephen Turner, who shares with us reflections on various topics. So I think even looking at the last issue, you begin to see our ambition, our goal to provide you with very, very diverse material to read from research, history, culture, maps. I would be remiss if I would not give another big shout out to Jay Osborne, and of course, we feature various genealogical discoveries. We also try to provide you from time to time with a special series of articles. Now we are carrying out the series about Galician Jews and the arts, and hopefully at the end of this year and going to next year, we'll dive into another interesting topic for Galicianer about Jewish politics and press in Galicia. Those of you who have not given us a chance, give us a chance, have a look at the journal. I know that you are bombarded daily with many, many emails, but when an email arrives, then a new issue arrived too. Give us a chance, find a quiet moment, and I can guarantee you that you will find something of interest. I would also encourage you to get in touch with our editor. We are blessed with wonderful efforts by our editor, Jody Benjamin. Those of you who interacted with Jody know how passionate she is about making sure that we inform, that we educate, and that each story shines, projecting messages, information relevant to broader readership. So please contact Jody with any ideas about the future article. Your voice in the journal is very important to us. So Steve, I think with this 2 updates, I will stop sharing and I will pass baton to Mark, I think.
Thank you.
Okay.
And from sunny, I hope, Boca Raton, Florida, to continue our research update, here is our director, Mark Jacobs.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, today's a beautiful sunny day here, and thank you for coming today to our meeting. I'm going to first mention my project, which is I finished previously a project indexing taxpayers in various towns in Galicia, and we've started a new, pretty exciting project indexing census records, previously unindexed census records. JRI Poland has indexed some census records for Galicia. We're doing a totally different set. And we're starting with the 1910 census of Krakow, which is a huge census. A lot of Jews lived in Krakow. We're extracting all the Jewish names and information. And I want to thank the indexing volunteers so far, who are Jacob Heisler and Barbara Ellman, doing some good work. And we're going to be working on that project for a while. And anyone who emails Gesher Galicia at info@Gesher Galicia, I'm the person who receives the email and answers your email. So I've probably interacted with some of you before. If you have any questions, just email info@geshergalicia.org and I'll get you an answer. I'm going to now give Tony Kahane's report since Tony couldn't be here today. Here's his report. Vital Records Project. We indexed 33,000 vital records in 2021, primarily from index books, and there are 75,000 or more planned for 2022, 2023, and these include index books from the Shemshel ID project. We've already indexed the birth register from Kalush from the mid-19th century, a town for which there are no other known Jewish vital records. Our indexers in Warsaw are at present working, among other things, on an index book from Dobrotvar, which is to be followed by a second book from this town, and an index book from Lutovska. Both of these towns also have no other surviving vital records. We'll also be indexing a handful of voters and taxpayer books from the 1930s for towns in Eastern Galicia lacking other records from the interwar period and the Holocaust period. Tony's report on maps, which was the work of Jay Osborne. At the end of 2021, we had 151 cadastral maps in the map room. Apart from many other regional and town street maps, there are 41 additional maps that we expect to add over the next 2 years. And just one more thing on the census project, we're starting with 1910 Krakow. We'll be expanding that as we continue into other towns, whatever becomes available. So keep watching updates to the All Galicia database. And Tony says, in general, the world situation has slowed down our progress, but we continue to work on obtaining and indexing new records and maps for the 2022. Thank you. And I'll pass it back to Steve.
Thank you, Mark. I want to add that Christine Hilsenrath is a director. She lives in England, and she was not able to be with us today. Her concentration is Holocaust records, and Holocaust records are an area of research that we're very interested in, and we're constantly looking to upgrade and get new material for what we have. And I want to say also that in Rabbi Kolesnik's study, he has many unique Holocaust records, and we hope to bring that to the community also. Okay, so now we're going to have a membership report, and from Maryland comes our esteemed membership chair, Shelley Palero.
Hello, everybody. Welcome and happy to see everybody here. Can I share my screen?
Sure.
Right now? Do I have, what do I have to, let's see. Oh, I see it's down here. Okay. Seems to be different on this screen. Okay. Okay. Okay, this is just a brief membership update. There's some important things I need to share with you. Well, since you are all members, I don't have to tell you about encouraging you to join, but I do encourage you to renew for all of the above reasons from the different directors. First of all, I want to mention that it is important to renew through your account. This is on the brown menu bar, and people are asking me, how do I renew? You have to log in to Gesher Galicia on the main page, and then click on your account in the brown menu bar. You'll choose renew or rejoin. And if you would like to see your membership status, you'll look at your membership, and I'm going to show you that in a sec. But here you would make a donation. And I want to impress upon you that, and this has been a problem for some of you, and we've tried to work it out, that if you want to make a donation to Gesher Galicia, and it does not include membership. They're two separate processes. And if you make a donation, I get the notifications, and they are only for the donation. If you are renewing, we only do renewing. This is all through our online account. Now, if you're going to renew through checking, through a check, you will then have to download and fill in your membership form, and there you'll be able to also indicate donations. Here is the place to change your account information, and this is really important. If you are getting the Galicianer by postal mail, we must have your updated email address. We have opted not to pay to have the Galicianer forwarded to another address. There aren't that many people whose address change, and it costs a lot of money to do that because you have to do it for everyone. So please make sure your mailing address under address and phone is up to date. Your email address, that we have that's how you get your Galicianer, and any information from us is via email. And again, as regarding Gmail, with Stephen's comments is very apropos. Many times we send something, and if you expect something from us, check your spam or junk mail or all those other Gmail areas, because it's often there. And we all feel bad about it, but we have no way to control that. If you want to change your password, you would also do that here. Everything's automated. You will get an acknowledgement, a thank you, or just an acknowledgement. In the next slide, I want to show you that once you click on your account and your membership, this screen will appear. Your current membership and subscription information. This is just a sample. It'll tell you what is your subscription. Are you active? Is it pending? Is it canceled? Is it, expired? That will show up on this page. And the start date is usually the start of when we first did this in 2021 for many of you. And it'll give you your expiration date. Now, it's important to know, and most of you don't, that we send out a renewal reminder to 30 days before your membership is due to expire. If you try to renew before that, like, oh, I'm thinking about it now, and my membership's, I don't even know when my membership's up, or if it's up in May, and you try to renew, it won't let you, the system won't let you renew. So my suggestion is to wait until you get our renewal reminder 30 days before, and then we remind you again 2 weeks before to renew. Now, if you are going to have the same subscription plan that you did before, if you're, for example, 1-year membership with electronic delivery of the Galicianer, then all you need to do is down here just to click on renew and then go through the process. If you're changing it, you need to go through your account and go through it that way. It works. It's a little complicated. It's taken me a long time to figure out what's going on, but I really do try to help people who do contact me. We also have frequently asked questions under our help screen, also in the brown menu bar. We have a lot of different areas: accessing, renewing, joining, options, making a donation, etc., changing. So if you don't remember what to do, you can go to the frequently asked questions, and they're all in these different categories. One category I want to specifically mention is contacts. You've just met Mark Jacobson, who is our wonderful info at geshergalicia.org. And he and I work together all the time because people have a membership question or respond to a membership mailing and they send it to info. Well, he just turns around and sends it back to me. So anytime you want specifically a membership question, write to membership. If you want a research question, write to info. So when you're writing to me and you say, oh, by the way, where can I find the census records for that? It has to go to Mark because I don't keep up on that. So Mark and I work together all the time. That's something just to keep in mind. All right, what do we have here? So these are some of the categories, again, of what is in our help section. To cap it up, the important things to know: always renew through your account on the brown menu bar. Wait for the renewal reminder. And credit cards are processed through the PayPal guest account. You don't get a PayPal account. You don't need one. And if you are having trouble, write to membership, and I have instructions, specific line-by-line instructions of how to wend your way through those screens. Please update your email address and mailing address. Again, donations do not include dues unless specifically mentioned. This is especially true for charitable funds. Many of you send funds to us through your charitable fund, which is wonderful, and it just says donation. That is just going to go into the donations. That won't touch membership unless you specifically mention it, or unless you write to Darcy, the treasurer, or me and say, oh, I sent some, $200 from charitable funds, $100 is for membership, the rest is for donation. Then we'll have an idea of how to help with that. And always refer to the FAQs in the brown menu bar. And for anything else, contact me. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. Thank you. That was very helpful to us all. And next, I'd like to introduce our treasurer from Southern California, Darcy Stamler, who's also involved in supervising Rabbi Kolesnik's project. And Darcy, the floor is yours.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming and spending some of your precious weekend time with us here. And in the interest of time, I know everybody's anxious to get to the Q&A session. I'm going to keep it as brief as possible. As Steve mentioned earlier, we this year for this upcoming for calendar year 2022, we did institute a modest dues increase. And again, this is going to help us better bolster our financial health over the foreseeable future in order to, accomplish and continue the programs and services that we have been providing, and also to improve them. Services that, for example, our program services, our research services that Andrew touched on, that Mark touched on a bit. But as that's the bread and butter of what we do is provide the research services, the documents, and more is becoming available, and more work is being done in those areas, as we all know. Also, our finances, our money goes to our infrastructure, our tech infrastructure. And as Steve mentioned earlier in the presentation, we've got some unique and new needs coming up in the areas of strengthening our systems to withstand cyber attacks, and also again to keep our tech infrastructure improve it, keep it cohesive and robust, and all of that is going to require increased funding and increased expenses, I should say. But anyway, those are again the three main areas of where the majority of our money is going to be going in the next couple of years or so: cybersecurity, tech infrastructure, and of course our research programs first and foremost. And again, the improvement of all these services, we, as Steve mentioned, as Shelley mentioned, we do appreciate donations to help in those efforts. And again, we are in good financial health, and we look forward to continuing and being so as the years move forward.
Thank you, Darcy. Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce our secretary, Milton Koch, who his hometown is Bethesda, Maryland, and he will unmute yourself, Milton, and say hello to our members.
Hi, everybody. I'm happy to help out with whatever needs to be done if all these competent people need more help. I'm hanging around, always available. Welcome, everybody, and I'm glad to see we have a lot of members who are on this meeting, and welcome everybody.
Okay, thank you, Milton. Now, last but not least, okay, is someone who's been part of Gesher Galicia for a very long time, Renee Sternsteinig. And Renee has won the award for the best Galician background on her Zoom. And she's here to talk about discussion lists and family finding.
Okay, and Renee is the most inexperienced screen sharer, so wish me luck. Okay, that looks like a screen. No?
Yeah.
Slideshow. Play from start. There you go. Okay. I'd like to give you brief updates on two important Gesher Galicia resources. One is our Family Finder, and the other is our discussion group. First, the Family Finder, which you can reach through our members portal. There's a link to that from the homepage. Well, I was deciding when I wrote my notes, is this blue or lilac? But whatever, you click here on the Family Finder, and you get to the main page of the Family Finder. You can see here from the arrows that you can search by town or by family. I'm going to give you an example of some results. This was a case where I looked for a surname of interest, Amsterdam, and very nicely, I discovered that member Steven Silver is also researching Amsterdam from Dubrava Tarnowska, and I saw in chat that a number of you were interested in that town as well. Like the Jewish Gen Family Finder, ours lists members, ancestral towns, and surnames. There are some differences. The Gesher Galicia Family Finder only includes current members of Gesher Galicia. An advantage to that is that everyone involved is an active researcher. I think some of you may have experienced on Jewish Gen, you write someone, especially if they have a low researcher number and they're no longer involved, or sometimes worse. In other words, they're gone altogether. So you're more likely to get a response writing from our site. Also, because searching is only available to members, we can disclose a bit more information. For example, as you see here, we include people's email addresses, so you can write them from your own email, or you can write to a group of them. And of course, we only include Galician towns and families. But I recommend that you use both sites because they're people who are in one and not the other, and you want to cover all bases. Back to the main page, I wanted to show you that this is also where you go to add information to the database. If you see these, the highlighted area, you can click there to add entries, and you can also click to see your own entries. Here is the submission form. You fill it out yourself. Most entries go through automatically. Occasionally, if you have a town that's not already in our database, it's held up a little for approval, but it does make it eventually. Also, from the main Family Finder page, there is the link that gets you to your current entries, if you have any, and you can see that this is a partial list of my 90 entries, but I don't have the most. There's someone with about 150. When you you're able to add listings yourself. You cannot delete, unfortunately, without writing to us. Hopefully in the future, we'll add that feature, but the address to write to with any concerns, changes, corrections is familyfinder@geshergalicia.org. Now, I'd also just like to say a few words about our discussion group, and I see that Yaron Wolfsall is with us. Yaron, I decided to feature your message because I thought it was such a great example of the kind of wonderful response one can get. I didn't post the response, but I think within a very short time of this message, there was an answer with very full details on at least 2 of the cemeteries from someone who had visited them recently. And it's just an example of the expertise that you reach when you use this, our discussion group. The discussion group is hosted by Jewish Gen. It's read by about 3,000 people worldwide. Many are very expert, very willing to help. If you don't subscribe, I encourage you to do so. It's open to members and non-members alike. As you may know, the main Jewish Gen discussion group changed platforms in October 2019. The new platform has distinct advantages. It allows attachments, it allows foreign alphabets. It doesn't require the plain text that is difficult for many people. Most special interest groups have been folded into the main discussion group. We were given the option of remaining as a separate list, and we will do that, but we hope to, in time, change to the new platform. So please watch for news of the switchover. If you are not already subscribed, here's a shortened URL to use to do so. I'll add it to chat later so you don't have to rush to write it down. I also wanted to remind you of our archives, which you can get to through this URL. It covers about 20 years of messages. Often if you have a question, it's good to try here to see if it's been addressed in the past. One of our most popular subjects is Galician marriage or not marriage, and the children who carry their mother's maiden names. And if you search for that, you'll find all sorts of good past messages. If you're looking for a particular town, you might want to explore and see what people have written about that town. And one more place to get to the archives is via Jewish Gen's new message search. Again, I will post the URL. Finally, feel free to write with any questions. I mentioned my email is, you can write to familyfinder@geshergalicia.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. That concludes the introductions of our directors. I just would like to say one thing before we start the question and answer session. I would be remiss to say that we are thinking in our thoughts and prayers, although I don't like that phrase very well, with our friends in Ukraine right now. We have a lot of friends in Ukraine that we work very closely with in our archives and help us with records and Jewish heritage issues. And we are very concerned and worried, and we hope that everything is resolved peacefully and with a strong and independent Ukraine. So I just want to add that there. And now, speaking of political situations, I want to introduce someone who's in Ottawa, Canada, and who has been a radio and TV star on Canadian news this week, because he lives and has a shop in the Parliament Hill area where all the demonstrations are going on in Ottawa. And we're glad to see him safely in his study now, and he is going to, John Diener is going to moderate our question and answer session.
Thank you, Stephen. Yeah, as you mentioned, it's been a crazy week here in our nation's capital. It's been quite difficult operating a business and living in the heart of all the insanity that's taking place here. But this too shall pass. A lot of the comments in the comments section were of a very specific nature, and I think those are best answered by sending emails to info@geshergalicia.org, but there are some questions that we can address right now. One question in specific was asking about how does Gesher Galicia differ from JRI Poland and Jewish Gen, and I think maybe that's something Stephen could address about possibly using all three and where we differ from the others.
Okay, that's a good question because people are confused by that. Gesher Galicia is this independent special interest group that concentrates on the former lands of Galicia, which is today southeastern Poland and western Ukraine. We partner with Jewish Gen and JRI Poland. We try to coordinate our efforts, not to duplicate work with them, but we are independent. We operate our own website. Membership in Gesher Galicia is totally spent on our organization and on Galician research records. But one thing that I would like to add, there's something called an API, Okay, an API is something where you do a search in one site and that leads you to a search in the other site. So we currently have an API that's working between JewishGen and Gesher Galicia. So if you search a record on Gesher Galicia, and the bottom of the results page, there might be links to records with the same search criteria that's now in JewishGen. Okay, and JewishGen partners with Yad Vashem, so that's a real benefit to see if there has been some testimony on a victim from Yad Vashem. Now, we are planning to institute API with JRI Poland, but as we mentioned before, we are doing an IT infrastructure update, so that won't be ready until the infrastructure update is done. There's no reason for us to do that twice. So JRI Poland and JewishGen are our friends. We work with them. They're our partners. We coordinate with them, but we are independent and we do our own thing. I hope that answered your question.
Okay, Emily Garber just asked if Gesher Galicia board could inform the group what is the criteria for selecting products for indexing. I don't know who wants to take that.
Mark or Andrew want to take a stab at that?
Yeah, maybe I can start and Mark can add a few comments. So maybe let me, to some extent, answer this question, connecting with the previous question of differences between different organizations focused on Jewish heritage and Jewish records from Galicia. An important tool besides API that Steve mentions are record inventories. You can access record inventories from our homepage, from the ribbon that goes across the homepage. If you select record inventories and click on search, you can then search for specific town of interest, for specific records, or combination on both. And that will give you overview of what records have been indexed by which organization, what records exist and have not been yet indexed by any organization, to coming back now to the criteria of what we select for research. It is driven mostly by availability of the records for given town, size of Jewish community, and indexing gaps for given town if you look at the totality of records indexed by various organizations. In addition to that, I will invite everyone to look at the research project pages on our homepage that also specify special projects going beyond vital records that remain as a core activity for the research group. Mark, would you like to maybe add additional comments?
Sure. Well, JRI Poland has a specific focus. They only index records that are currently in Poland for towns that were Poland, but we can index records, Galician records that are currently in Lviv archive before Galician towns, but JRI Poland won't do that because it's not in Poland now. They only deal with records that are currently in archives in Poland. They have contracts with Polish archives, so they only work with Polish. So we work with records wherever they happen to be. And so we have more flexible that way. And we try not to overlap records that they've indexed, just to index other kinds of records. And they focus more on vital records. At least their current focus is on vital records. And we broaden out to all different kinds of records. That's why we have the new census project. We've done some tax records and all kinds of different kinds of records that they won't really deal with. And so our criteria is whatever is available and whatever looks promising to have a lot of names and some kind of information on people in towns, and especially as you see with the focus on things we were doing now is to work on towns where there are few or no known records. So we're focusing on other kinds of records, like Andrew was talking about the 1848 list, where there are lists of Jews who are signing these petitions, and there are no other records for the town. So it gives you some information. So you have an answer from the town, you at least can have some kind of, you'll see a surname there, you'll know your family, at least some of your family was there, and that time it gives you a guidance. And Jerry Poland and Jewish Gen wouldn't really deal with those kind of records. And that's really our criteria, is just whatever is, do you think are most helpful to the membership, and records that are available to us. Right, Andrew?
Yes, that's very correct. Yes. And again, vital records remain as a core of our activities, but we build, as Mark described, a layer after layer of other records, census records, student records, petition records, voting lists, property records to enrich our collective experience. And again, I'll look back to what I started before. Probably the most common question that we get to info@geshergalicia.com or .org is, do you have records? And then here comes the name of the town. Of course, it is confusing where are those records between different archives, different countries. I would encourage everyone on this call, at this meeting, please explore record inventories. This is a new tool that you can very easily have an overview of records, known records for given town and different types. And again, as before mentioned, to define which records were indexed, which records await indexing.
Also with record inventories, you can actually we link to images of record sets. Yeah. So you can actually see images of records that we've indexed or J.R.I. Poland has indexed, and actually connect right there through the record inventory. And you can narrow your search not only by town, but by record type. And that way you can see like all the births from a specific town, and you could narrow down the year range, and you can see if they've been indexed, and if they haven't, if there are images online, so you can get a lot of useful things to do in the record inventory.
Can we just say again how to find the record inventory, and maybe type a link into the chat for it? Or
I think the best way is to go to homepage, geshergalicia.org. And then there is a ribbon going across the screen. Look at the record inventories and search.
Okay.
Okay, there are a couple of questions about census records. If maybe somebody could address what is available currently on Gesher Galicia, and if there's anything in the pipeline that we can expect to see in the future.
What I would say is that we should read my article in the last issue of the Galiciana, where I actually gives census. That's our focus right now for Gesher Galicia. We haven't done too much of real census. We've done what appear to be some military conscription lists for Brody, for Novi Sad, and some other towns from the pre-1870 period. The actual census time for Austrian Galicia was 1870, 1880, 1890, 1900, 1910. And J.R.I. Poland has covered some of those census from Western Galicia. Another thing coming up will be the 1857 Stanislavov census, which is being done from someone and being donated to us, and that'll be appearing sometime this year.
Yeah, I would like to mention, because that person is on that call, that Yaron Wolfstow, new academic advisor to Galicia University, to Gesher Galicia from Ben Gurion University in Israel. And he is working privately with an indexer, and we purchased copies of the scans of that 1857 Stanislav census, and we're all very excited to get that indexed and available to our members. And thank you, Yaron.
Okay, most of the comments and questions are either of a very specific nature or have already been addressed either in the presentations or by some of the answers we've already given. So I think we're pretty much at the end of this. I do want to mention that in the comments, there are many, many people who took the course that Andrew gave and have praised it to a great degree. Clearly, it's something worth considering doing when these courses are offered. It's a great opportunity to learn things, whether you're just starting out or whether you're a veteran researcher. There's an awful lot that these courses can offer. We're also getting a lot of positive comments about the Galicianer, so please make sure you read it, and that as has been mentioned before, you will get a lot out of it. So I think that pretty well concludes things.
I want to add that this meeting is being recorded. We will upload it to our YouTube channel. And if you missed any of it, came in late or had to leave early, then you can catch what you missed. And if we didn't get to your question and it was written in the chat, we will try to get to it. And if we don't, then write to the proper person, either to info@Gesher Galicia, to membership@Gesher Galicia. I will give out my email address, ssturner@geshergalicia.org. I have confidence in our membership that they will not bombard me with nonsense. So I'll be happy to share that if anyone wants to get in touch with me.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Stay safe.